Chapter 1. A Chance Encounter. 3 video feeds played upon translucent panel screens. The first displayed a young woman kneeling on one knee within a lunar-like landscape, jagged crags, tall ridges, and stone spires. Seemingly dressed in a white kimono with a light violet trim, she caught her breath, her crimson-colored eyes refocusing on her foe. Silvery hair cascaded down her shoulders and back, while 2 black marks extended along her cheeks, much like the stripes of a tigress. Determination flared in her eyes, tears long since vaporized by a righteous anger at her opponent. The second screen showed a monster, his body a vaguely humanoid pyre of black fire. Where a man would have a face, this creature wore a porcelain-like mask, mimicking a male visage, which would reconfigure itself to his moods. However, the facade had been broken, the portion over his left eye shattered and lost in the battle preceding this confrontation. What remained likewise had stress fractures, as well as traces of a purple-colored blood from the beast himself. At the end of what would be his arms was a clawed hand composed of the same white stone-like material as the mask. The final panel held a current feed from the city of Tokyo, watching the people and vehicles commute in their usual bustle. Close to the business and academic towers of the city, the orange and white communication tower presided silently over the skyline of the local ward. Inspired by France's Eiffel Tower, the lattice structure invited tourists to its observation decks and attractions since its opening in December 1958. However, no one would likely remember the unexplained event that occurred in November 1970, now nearly 27 years ago. Alone, one woman examined these 3 scenes as they played simultaneously before her. Her emerald feline eyes analyzed each moment that passed, trying to answer the questions plaguing her. Her elbows rested on the arms of her hovering chair, her fingers wet and pressed lightly to her lips. Fiery red hair was tied behind her head, as the resulting spiked tail extended to the cold metal floor below her. Though physically she seemed 12 years old, she had long since claimed the title of the greatest scientific genius in the universe. Dr. Hakubi Washu had once been a professor at the Universal Science Academy within the Galactic Union over 700 years ago. However, her curiosity had led her down the route of weapon development, earning her a different title, the legendary Mad Scientist. As punishment, she had been sealed into an Alpha L model prison unit and shot into space, eventually landing on Earth. There she stewed in stasis until her capsule was shattered in a spat between 2 young women, Ryuo Ryoko and Jirai Ayaka. Now, as Washu sat in her lab surrounded by her inventions and tools, she considered the 3 scenes playing before her. The monster was Kain, the murderer who rampaged across the galaxy over 100 years ago. From all the studies done on the creature during his imprisonment, the SA had determined him to be a sentient form of NVO energy. A year ago, in April 1996, Kain broke free from the subspace prison at the GP headquarters and rocketed to Earth. In so doing, he traveled backward in time 26 years to November 1970, seemingly with the sole purpose of killing one young woman. Said young woman was Masaki Achika, the silver-haired girl in the other display. The daughter of the shrine priest Masaki Katsuhito, she knew nothing of the cosmic creature, or of the power latent within her. Before the nightmare arrived, she had been a typical high school girl. Even her eyes and hair were more commonly colored brown and black, respectively. However, she was of the royal bloodline of Jirai through her father. Masaki Katsuhito was an alias taken by the legendary prince of Jirai's royal family, Yosho, upon marriage to his Terran wife, Masaki Itsuki. While Achika laughed with her friends and fell in love with her husband, Nobuyuki, she never knew Jirai's power flowed through her. After Kain's advent in November 1970, Achika was forced to defend herself and awaken to Jirai's power, burning away all pretense of Terran lineage. While she did revert to her normal appearance, her memory still needed to be cleared of this horrible event, as well as of her future. Still, Washu wondered, why Achika? Why would Kain travel light years of distance and decades of time to attack her? Admittedly, Achika was an easy target. She had no knowledge of her abilities prior to her transformation, So, among the ranks of the Jirai royal family, she would be the least likely to defend herself. As the living antithesis to Jiraiya's power, Kain seemed to have an innate desire to exterminate all those who possessed the opposing energy. Thus, Achika would naturally lie on his list of targets, as would her father and her son. If Kain was merely a psychopath, this would be reason enough to murder her. But, the redhead argued, how would he even know about her? Achika lived on a planet far from the bustle of galactic society. Until Tenchi's lineage came to light in the recent coup d'etat on Jirai, her name was not listed in the Jirai royal archives. Being trapped in subspace for a century, he would not have had access to such recent news. Not directly. Thus, the scientist deduced, someone would have had to relay that information to him. Yet, this conclusion raised a far more sinister question. Who would want to kill Masaki Achika, a girl who knew nothing of her potential? Who would benefit from her death? Space-time physics were one of Washu's innumerable specialties, and she investigated the branching timelines from the point of Achika's death at Kain's hands. Within every scenario arising from that moment, one constant always followed: the non-existence of Masaki Tenchi. Perhaps, the genius pondered, a better question is, who would want Tenchi gone? Like his mother, Tenchi knew nothing of the might laying dormant within him, and not until he became embroiled in the coup on Jirai. Through a sequence of chance encounters in late 1994, he came to meet Jirai Ayeka, princess of the Jirai Empire and then heiress to the throne. The seat of power had been vacant while she had been crossing the stars, courting to marry before ascending to the crown. In her absence, a nobleman by the name of Kagato had consolidated his power and usurped the throne under the disguise of the legendary warrior Prince Yosho. During the brief reign of Yosho, Ayeka and the entirety of the Masaki home had been charged with high treason and quested to prove their innocence. Near the end of their journey to the Jiraiyan throne world, Katsuhito revealed his true identity and confronted the man using his name. When the two men met after decades apart, Kagato elaborated at length about the darkness of the universe, how he refined and strengthened his Jirai power to its most extreme limits, of fighting a fear and desperation worse than death itself. At the time, Katsuhito attributed these remarks to the usurper being in hell. While Katsuhito was defeated by his nemesis, Tenchi killed Kagato and cleared everyone's names. If Achika dies, Washu thought, then Tenchi is never born. He neither meets Ayeka nor travels to Jirai to save her from Kagato. Scanning through the myriad of possibilities, the genius found several timelines stemming from Kain's attack on Achika that showed Kagato's success. Kain's success could undo Kagato's failure. Reflecting on Katsuhito's account of the usurper's words, the scientists speculated about a relationship between the incidents, that Kain and Kagato might have been connected. If Kain, or the place of Kain's origin, was the darkness of the universe Kagato described, the enmity between Jirai and Envio energies might explain the fear and desperation he felt. Likewise, it could show how he strengthened, or perhaps corrupted, his Jirai power. However, this theory had a major flaw. If Kain wanted to destroy all those with Jiraiya's power, the minute woman mused, why would he manipulate time to a Jiraiyan's advantage? Since he could travel in time, why not travel back to when the Jirai Empire was founded, or... An alarm blared throughout her laboratory, breaking her chain of thought. Irritated, she spun from her active panels to a nearby terminal, where a red alert flashed on a physical screen. Oh, what is it now? She asked her machines. After a few keystrokes were entered, the device yielded an image of a large triangular-shaped craft in orbit above Earth. The fierce vessel possessed a ridge along two sides of its forward section, lined with high-output beam weaponry, likely for ship-to-ship combat. Mounted above its prow was a large-bore particle cannon, no doubt for ship-to-surface attacks. This image shrank to the side of the screen as the computer began to search its database to identify the vehicle, soon displaying a schematic diagram of the conveyance. Beneath the pair of images, the two were labeled Archilian Battlecruiser in the GU's common language. "What the hell are they doing so far from home?" Washu inquired to no one. Another display on the console caught her eye, showing the equivalent of transmission active. "Oh, they're talking to someone on Earth." After she entered a sequence of commands, the transmission sounded on her laboratory sound system. Loud, livid gibberish squawked from her custom-built speakers, though she did not immediately understand its meaning. "Someone's unhappy," she understated as she pursed her lips. Curious, she sent this foreign language through one of her translator algorithms, as well as started a trace on the transmitted signal to find its destination. Within a few moments, a slightly distorted voice spoke from her speakers, in an equally angry tone. "MIB, deliver the galaxy, or Earth will be destroyed. Sorry." With a curl to her lip, Washu huffed, "I think I might have something to say about that." Cracking her knuckles, several terminal screens opened before her, each displaying a different sequence of code. Much to Jirai's embarrassment, the red-headed scientist had hacked and crippled the military network of their planetary defense system to help topple Kagato's coup d'etat. She even thought to sneak a peek at the account books of the SA and incriminate some of those haughty administrators who kicked her out so soon after her reinstatement, after her part in defeating the coup. Hacking a battlecruiser would be nothing with an open communication line. Just as her fingers touched the keys of her terminal, the transmission panel went black. No signal to hijack meant she could not hack the vessel's computer system. "Damn it!" she cursed to herself.